Good morning, and welcome to the celebration of life for Deputy Abigail Rose Bieber. My name is Preston Hollis. I am a captain with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and had the blessing and privilege to work with Abby at the District 3 office for nearly the past 2 years. I am honored to stand before you today as we remember Abby and celebrate her life. Abby was taken from us because of pure evil and darkness, but Abby's light shines on. The impact Abby had on so many people has been magnified during the past 12 days. Through personal stories that have been shared, videos that have been watched, pictures that have been shown, and memories that have been relived. As you entered the auditorium this morning, you had the opportunity to see some of those videos and pictures. You saw Abby and her hobbies, her treasures, the things that meant the most to her. Those aviator sunglasses, Dunkin' Donuts, and of course her dog Louie. Today we celebrate Abby, and we will all be better for having Abby's light reflected on us today. Would you pray with me? God and Father in heaven, holy is your name. Father, today is a difficult day. These past 12 days have been very difficult and painful. Please hear my prayer. I approach you on behalf of the entire Bieber family, for Bruce and Sarah, Daniel and Ben. I ask for your comfort and peace upon this family today and for the days to come. I thank you, Father, for so many who have surrounded this family with their love, kindness, and support beyond measure. I pray for the entire law enforcement community, for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and the Clearwater Police Department, as we all mourn Abby, our sister. Father, bless this celebration today as we spend time together looking at Abby and the light that she was for so many. I thank you for all who are with us today, either in this building or watching from a distance. Thank you, Father, for hearing this prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. One of the many things I learned about Abby this past week was she was well-read. She also had a deep knowledge and understanding of words and how those words were to be used. She was a wordsmith, if you will. You may have noticed on your way in some of those words on the table as you came in. I also learned that if you used a word incorrectly or used a word that, wasn't really a word, she would be quick to correct you, but in a patronizing sort of way. Poor guy. I know you didn't really mean that, or we all have those days sometimes too. It's okay. In honor of Abby this morning, I wanted to talk about a specific word, eulogy. The word eulogy is a term we often use in this setting. It comes from the Greek, eu meaning good, logos meaning speech. Eulogy is a good word. Today we have a number of people who want to eulogize Abby, to say a good word about her. And there is so much good to say. There are a number of reasons why we in law enforcement enter this profession: to serve or help others, to make a positive difference in our communities, to be a peacemaker in times of chaos and turmoil, to solve crime, to be protectors, to be a voice, to be an advocate, to be a light and a positive influence. That was Abby. When you think about the different skills and attributes needed in this profession, here are just a few: integrity, compassion, empathy, drive, courage, good instincts, common sense, adaptability, skills in verbal judo, and sometimes skills in physical judo. That was Abby. 4 years ago to this day, Abby began her career with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. During her hiring process, Abby had to answer 2 questions. Why did you choose a career with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office? And why do you feel you are the best candidate? I want to read to you her own words when she answered these questions back on November 28th, 2017. Quote, I am drawn to a career that is ever-changing, demanding, disciplined, physical, noble, and stimulating. I am choosing to pursue this career because integrity is a quality I value above all others. Law enforcement is a very noble profession, and it always has been. Without integrity, especially in this career, you do yourself, your sheriff's office, your fellow deputies, your family, and the citizens of your county a major disservice. I believe I am the best candidate to become a law enforcement deputy with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office because I have the drive, education, desire, physicality, and the integrity to succeed. I am prompt, quick on my feet, smart, efficient, and friendly. I believe I would make a true impact on those I work with and work for. The impacts one has as a law enforcement officer knows no bounds, and this is not to be taken lightly. Abby concluded her answer in this way. I would be honored to wear the badge and be part of a career that is so much greater than myself. Then on December 18th, 2017, Abby participated in the oral board interview. This consists of a major, a captain, and a lieutenant asking Abby a series of questions. And I wanted to highlight her responses on 2 of them. Question, how would your current coworkers or peers describe you? Answer, friendly, sarcastic, respectful, and with a sense of humor. That was Abby. Question, what are your top 3 priorities? Answer, family, integrity, and professional success. That was Abby. I had the privilege of meeting Abby almost 2 years ago when I was assigned to District 3. It wasn't long before I knew she was a rock star. She was a model deputy and person. The answers she gave 4 years ago, before she was hired, was not fluff or just for show. She truly exemplified these attributes and qualities every law enforcement officer should possess. Bruce, Sarah, you raised an amazing daughter who served her community exceptionally and impacted all who ever met her. And I was blessed to work with her. To share some more good words about Abby, we will now hear from Chief Deputy Donna Lazinski of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Hello. Thank you, and we appreciate everyone for being here today. I'm Chief Deputy Donna Lazinski, and I have the privilege of speaking on behalf of Sheriff Chad Chronister, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. I am humbled and deeply honored to speak to you about the impact Deputy Abigail Bieber had on her work family and her entire community in Hillsborough County. I spent the last week, probably like many, searching for words that could adequately describe Abby for you all today. Some of the words came easy. Smart, capable, hardworking, and a genuinely nice person who is deeply committed to helping others. But what's harder to describe is what she meant to all those who knew her and the impact she will forever have on all those she leaves behind. In our field of law enforcement, we see a lot of loss and death. Having worked in patrol like Abby, and in the Criminal Investigations Division, one of Abby's aspirations, I can tell you that learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable is just part of the job. But not one call for service or one homicide investigation could prepare me or any of us in our office for this. Simply put, the loss of Abby has been devastating. Abby was a bright young deputy, and had she made it to this day, February 11th, her 4-year work anniversary, I have no doubt she would have been pursuing other avenues within our office where she could have made an even greater difference than she already has. It was clear that she had a knack for the job. Policing was in her blood, having 2 brothers who also wear the badge for the Clearwater Police Department, and we again appreciate your guys' service so much. She gained a reputation among her squad as someone who never avoided the tough calls for service, the sexual abuse cases, the child abuse cases. Those are the kind of cases that can be difficult, emotional, and require quite a bit of time to gain the trust of victims, making them comfortable enough to share their trauma with you. But that's where Abby shined. Her warmth, her friendly demeanor, she made people feel safe, even during their most painful and vulnerable moments. While I believe that every one of our deputies displays courage and strength on the job, it takes a special kind of person, like Abby, to also show tenderness, empathy, and genuine compassion towards the strangers we meet. She found that balance. For that reason, she was often looked up to as a role model by the little boys and girls she'd come into contact with on the street, or when she stopped by the Boys and Girls Club. Her tender-heartedness carried over into her relationships with her zone partners and District 3 family. She took the time to learn about her coworkers, to share stories, good and bad, and to build friendships and true bonds with fellow deputies that extended well beyond their 12-hour shift. Just look at the amount of people in this room showing here today in support of her. In 4 years, Abby became not just a colleague, but a sister to so many within our HCSO family. To Abby's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Bieber, I hope it just brings you a small sense of comfort knowing that your daughter positively impacted more lives in her short career at the office than many people will ever do in their lifetime. To everyone here today, I ask you not to be sad for Abby, but instead to be inspired by her. She lived a life full of joy and love. As evident by her choice in her profession, Abby was not afraid to take risks or to put her life on the line for those she loved and served. Abby's bravery and passion should motivate you not to be afraid to pursue things you care about or take chances, because life is too short to have regrets. When something like this happens, many, sometimes rightfully so, ask who's to blame. Who's responsible for this aching pain and enormous void we're all left with? We all do this to make sense of it all, to bring closure to chaos, especially as law enforcement officers. It's ingrained in us to ensure that someone is held accountable and will face consequences for the hurt they caused. But we're faced with a very different reality here. We know who committed this monstrous act, but we may never know exactly why. The sole person responsible made a choice, a very bad choice that can never be taken back. We cannot apply logic to an illogical decision. And we may never get the sense of closure that we are all desperately longing for. But that doesn't mean that we have to move on with anger, fear, or resentment. As we have shown time and time again in the wake of tragedy, our sheriff's office family is resilient. We come together in the worst of times and find ways to help one another in any way possible, whether it's through a peer support program, whether it's just us taking the time to ask somebody, are you okay? Do you need anything? The support that we provide each other must be equally as strong as the unwavering support we provide to every person in Hillsborough County when they turn to us for help in their time of need. Our duty to protect and serve begins and ends with our brothers and sisters who wear the badge. And I again ask the entire Bieber family to please look around this room at all the men and women in uniform here today. We're your family. We will always be here for you no matter what. And Abby will always be part of our family. May she rest in peace.
It was this one though, right? Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Okay. Yeah. So this was issued back in February of 2019. And they said it's an FDA.
That's that next one, if you didn't go to court,
What are you doing? What are you doing? Delivery. Hi.
Go ahead. Do you have anything on you? Okay. You understand you can't get in jail so it's not there. Okay. What were you feel this today?
I've inclined that I want your child to help me.
All right, I'm doing a car sniffing contest. So far, Bieber's in the lead. That car smells like, I don't know. That smell
It's
is.
a gain, small spaces thing, like put in the door.
It's a what?
It's a gain, small spaces, like a little open
Gains,
thing.
small spaces.
Gain, you know, like a lot.
Oh, yeah. Where at?
It's in the door.
Where you got it at?
Oh, yes.
Wait, you gotta step up a game.
You got to see her sunglasses, and dogs must have a sense of who's nice, I think. Our next speaker is the commander of District 3, Major Craig Temko, who will now come and speak for us.
I'm honored to stand before you today to celebrate the life of Abigail Bieber. Bruce and Sarah, it's been wonderful being invited into your home and getting to know both of you and your family. There are a lot of hurting people in this room here today. And by opening your doors to us and giving us an opportunity to come visit with you and share stories and share memories, it's helped all of us with the healing process. You both have not only dedicated yourselves to a life of community service, but you've raised a family who also dedicated themselves to serving their country and serving their community. Your family is the quintessential service-minded American family. Abby, Abigail, Abs, Bieber, Biebs, Deputy Bieber, and the Biebs are some of the names that we know Abby by. Being a deputy sheriff was only a small sliver of Abby's persona, but it's a piece of her life that I am most familiar with and therefore would like to share today. I knew Abby as a conscientious worker who was easy to get along with. She was comfortable being herself and carrying on a conversation about nothing in particular. Several of my interactions, as I've already told you, have occurred in the break room. The break room at the district, the break room at Fountain Oaks, our substation, and the break room at our other substation, TCCS. I would go out and work patrol, and you go to roll call and you try to talk to the deputies, and everybody's embarrassed to say anything or around other people, so it's kind of hard to get to know the deputies sometimes. You sure don't want to show up on their calls for service because then they really turn robotic and become nervous. So I find that the small interactions, such as the one that I had with Abby in the break rooms, are what stand out to me. It was common for me to plop down and interrupt her lunch and just talk about whatever came to mind. She wasn't on break, though. I don't remember a single break room encounter where her laptop wasn't open and she was feverishly catching up on her reports. Abby was a hard worker, and in the month of December, she wrote 16 reports, double the amount of other deputies in our district. Abby was a crime fighter, but she had a passion for investigating abuse and sex crimes. Her calling was trying to find justice for the victims of these heinous crimes. Just a few weeks ago, a sensitive and very important case came to my desk. I stressed the importance, and I laid it on thick, of this particular case and directed the shift commander to hand select the investigator and told him that I, along with my bosses, would be reading this report first thing in the morning. It should come as no surprise that Deputy Bieber was the person out of the entire district who was selected to handle this case. Of course, the next morning I read the report and the investigation, and the report was flawless. For only having 4 years of experience as a deputy, I was amazed at how many times her name crossed my desk and how many times her name was brought up in conversation to me about her outstanding performance. Her direct supervisors described her as an extraordinary young woman. She was highly motivated and diligent in her decision making. She has a high capacity for future growth, a tremendous work ethic, and sets a strong example for others to follow. She earned the respect of her peers and supervisors alike. She was warm, compassionate, independent thinker with a great sense of humor. She has the ability to make other members of her team better. She performs at a high level of effectiveness with minimal supervision. She demonstrates the capacity to learn new skills. Her attitude is always positive, and she volunteers to help others without being asked. Deputy Bieber was rewarded with the Deputy of the Month for the month of September 2020 for her investigative skills. One supervisor who was new to the squad stated that I was immediately impressed with how well she works with others. She's a reliable deputy who will always have a positive attitude. Deputy Bieber will be part of the future leadership cadre, as noted by one supervisor. As far as Abby's impact on the community, well, the same day that Abby's identity was released to the community, my staff and I were flooded with emails and calls from the community sharing their stories. One of those stories even joked that although the call for service didn't exactly go her way, and they had a difference of opinion, she was proud of how Abby handled the particular call for service, and she complimented her for being fair, confident, and thorough. Recently, Deputy Bieber assisted in resolving a neighborhood complaint that was assigned by the colonel's office. She handled the complaint to the satisfaction of all parties involved. She made such a strong impact that one of the neighbors wrote a letter to the sheriff thanking her for her efforts. She also received another letter written to the sheriff. During the COVID lockdown, she organized a birthday parade for an 11-year-old child who wasn't able to have a full-blown party. The family were so delighted and impressed, they wrote a commendation as well. As many of you know, Abby spent almost a month at the Boys and Girls Club. At the time, a TDY opportunity, a temporary duty opportunity, became available at the Boys and Girls Club. And for those of you who don't know, that assignment is a passion project for the sheriff, and the employee who filled that role was not picked by accident. That position requires a certain finesse, a higher level of community engagement, dedication, and proven work history of being self-sufficient in the absence of direct supervision, being able to proactively improve the program, but most of all, being a good role model for the children. Abby was hand-selected for the position without her even asking. I won't mention any names of how that happened, but he sits over there. A few weeks later, her corporal approached me and said that she didn't want to turn down this opportunity, and I know she struggled with trying to come to this decision, but she felt that her passion was helping victims of crimes on the street. This was a brave step for a junior deputy, and I applauded her for knowing her passion and prioritizing her goals. I met with her, and I told her that I was proud of her for coming to this decision. I respected her, the decision, and told her that we needed people like her out there on the streets. She was subsequently reassigned back into patrol where she belonged. As far as empowering women in law enforcement, well, if you were a female deputy working with Abby, you could expect to meet her at some point and be clued in on her higher level of expectations that she had for you representing women in law enforcement. You weren't going to talk on the radio without the added confidence that she was going to give you after her pep talk. But it wasn't just female deputies that Abby mentored. If you were a new deputy assigned to her platoon, you likely got a call or a text from an unidentified number. Abby would be on the other end, introducing herself, welcoming you to the team, offering her assistance, and sending you a ridiculously long and detailed list of expectations, quick reference material, and helpful hints. Abby was caring and thoughtful. I've referenced plenty of heartfelt characteristics of Abby, but make no mistake about it, Deputy Bieber meant business too. She was able to talk people into cuffs, but when talking didn't work, she wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty or use her taser. She recently had 3 taser deployments, which is pretty high for our district. Of course, they were all justified uses of force. Abby always wanted to be the best that she could be. She was critical of her own performance. In one recent case, she assisted another agency who followed a felony shoplift suspect into our area. She completed the traffic stop and was arresting the driver and dealing with the driver in the presence of several other law enforcement entities who were there. I got the phone call. Hey, we got this traffic stop and everything's good. And we got the person under arrest. Okay, I'm great. I'm going home. About 45 minutes later into the call, unbeknownst to everybody who was on scene, there was another bad guy hiding in the back, covered up under the stolen clothes in the back of the SUV. And of course, he had the key fob in his pocket. Next thing you know, the vehicle's fleeing down the street with Abby in tow. The vehicle crashed a short time later. The driver fled on foot, but was apprehended. Abby was so scared to tell her supervisor what happened and worried about what we would say and if she would be in trouble or not. She reached out to her brother and asked for some advice. And of course, she did everything that she was supposed to do. I'll miss you, Abby. God bless you and your family. Thank you.
She was always one of my go-to deputies that I relied on very heavily. She made my experience as a new corporal very easy. Abby was always my first resource that I would call. She was extremely smart. She loved this job. She gravitated to the harder aspects of the job, and she was a tremendous resource for myself and so many other deputies. Early on in me meeting her, I immediately noticed and recognized that she had a passion for the law enforcement that I hadn't seen in the lives of anyone else. She loved to work with children. She loved to be able to go out and to be able to help them and be the necessary voice for those children and those victims.
But working with her was great because I knew I could trust her.
This year, I'm thankful for my zone partner.
I noticed one of the first things I noticed about her was how infectious her personality was.
She was funny, she was witty, she was very articulate, she was sassy, she was sarcastic, she was incredibly fun to be around, to work with. I'm gonna miss those moments with her very much.
I'm thankful for my incredibly supportive family, especially my parents who are out of state.
She cared when she didn't have to care. If you knew her or had any interactions with her, that we are probably better for it. I know I'm better for it.
So Abby was she was a great deputy, but an even greater person. And she wasn't just a friend, she was our family. And we miss you, Abby.
Abby, your impact and influence on the 100+ deputies that you've interacted with over the past 4 years, that will live with us forever. We will all deeply and dearly miss you. I will do everything I can to remember your legacy in my life and in the lives of the people that you touched.
One of Abby's closest friends, Deputy Caitlin Kotfila, will now come and speak.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I know it means a lot to Abby's family, and I hope they can see, just by the amount of people here today, how many lives Abby has impacted. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Caitlin Kotfilia, and Abby was my best friend. For those of you who do know me, you know this isn't the first time I've been up here fighting back tears, doing the impossible task of summing up a loved one's life with not nearly enough time to do so. You see, my brother was a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office deputy who was killed in the line of duty in March 2016. He was also 30 years old, just like Abby, and was tragically taken from us too soon, just like Abby. It absolutely devastated me to lose my brother, who I looked up to so much. But there were a lot of good things that happened as a result of his death. If he had never died, then I never would have joined the sheriff's office. And if I never joined the sheriff's office, I never would have met Abby. Abby was my silver lining. And I'm grateful for every day I had with her. I don't actually remember the first time I met Abby, but I do remember the first time I heard her name. They were calling for her on the radio, and I thought they were saying Deputy Bieber. I giggled to myself and thought, that's a very unfortunate last name. It took a couple weeks, but I finally realized it was Deputy Bieber, not Beaver. I thought, cool, maybe she's related to Justin Bieber, but I'm going to assume probably not since I don't see him here. When Abby got cut loose by herself, I was one of her first zone partners, so I'll take some of that credit for her being such a fantastic deputy. We got along right away, and I did my best to take her under my wing and teach her the ways. The great thing about Abby is that she basically came pre-trained, ready to go. She was one of those unique deputies who had both street smarts and book smarts. She was also eager to learn and already had a good work ethic. Obviously, she had to be taught some of the most important rules on the road, like don't slam your zone partners, and when it's time for me to go lunch, you better take that report call in our zone. There was one call in particular that I remember thinking, this is a job for this girl, and she's going to have no problem holding her own. It was June 2019, and we received a call about a possible assault or battery involving multiple subjects. Abby was the first one to get on scene. She immediately interviewed some witnesses, and as she was doing so, a female they identified from the altercation walked up to the neighbor's house and started banging on the door. Abby instinctively approached her and was trying to figure out exactly what was going on, but the female was intoxicated and was not cooperating. The female continued banging on the door, at which point several people she knew attempted to remove her from the situation to calm her down. It did not calm her down, and in fact made it worse, and she ended up swinging on one of them and striking another one in the face. Abby at this point knew she was going to take the female to jail and started to try to place her in handcuffs. The female then struck Abby in the face. Abby didn't even hesitate for a second. She grabbed her and escorted her to the ground. At this point, the female's family tried to intervene to stop Abby from arresting her. Abby drew her taser and held all of them back. The female continued resisting Abby and was still trying to hit Abby in the face. So naturally, Abby returned the favor tenfold and punched the female 3 times in her face. The female still continued to resist. However, Abby was able to get her into a 3-point pin, and not only was she able to get handcuffs on her, but she was able to put her in the back of her patrol car all by herself. This happened in a matter of minutes before any backup got there. We later viewed the female's picture from that night, and she had a baseball-sized knot on her cheek from Abby. I was so proud of her that I went around telling everybody at work that would listen about Abby and showing them the picture of what she had done. I never worried about Abby after that because I knew what she was capable of. Unfortunately, we did end up getting split up when I went to mid-shift on a different squad, and she stayed on night shift. I then went to a totally opposite shift, yet we still stayed best friends. After that, I even went to a different district when I joined our motor unit, but we still stayed close. She was funny, though. Anytime I would bring up another female friend, or she would see me in a picture with someone else, her response was always the same: that better not be my replacement. Which we all know nobody could ever replace Abby. We did finally come back together this past September when I returned to D3 on days and she was on mid-shift. I'm so thankful for the time that we did have together. I remember when her parents moved down and she invited me over to meet them for the first time and hang out with her family. I spent about 30 minutes in the liquor store trying to figure out what bottle of wine to get her mom and what beer to get her dad. She was texting me, telling me to just get to the house and that I didn't need to get anything up for them. Of course, I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to bring them something. And she goes, it's not like we're dating. You don't need to impress my parents. But of course, I wanted them to like me, seeing as I was their best friend. It wouldn't matter what I brought, because when I got to their house, they welcomed me with open arms. It felt like I had known them for years, and they told me they already loved me because Abby did. That's when I realized why Abby was so special and had such an amazing personality. She had learned it from her parents. That's why it breaks my heart to have to be up here giving this speech, because this tragedy could not have happened to a more wonderful family. I know anyone in this room who's had the pleasure of meeting the Biebers has felt the warmth and compassion. So on behalf of everyone here today, Sarah and Bruce, I want to say thank you for sharing Abby with us. I want to say thank you for raising such a kind, compassionate, fearless, strong, independent, funny, and intelligent daughter who was beautiful both inside and out. I know she was taken from us too soon, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate the 30 years this world was blessed with her. I'd like to believe she found my brother up there, and he has taken her under his wings. I don't know why horrible things happen to such wonderful people, but I do intend to honor them the best way I know how, and that is by spending every day living up to the person they thought I was. I want them to look down on me and be proud to say, that's my best friend. That's my sister. She's killing it down there on earth. That way, when I get up there, I'll already be a legend. To be honest, death doesn't seem so frightening anymore, because I know when my time finally comes, it means I get to see them again. The last text message I ever received from Abby, she said she was missing me, which I find ironic because I will forever be missing her. I love you, Abigail Bieber, and I hope you found peace wherever you are.
We will now have a presentation to the family from some of Abby's former and current squad mates from District 3. Members of the Bieber family would like to speak to you all this morning. Her father, Bruce, and one of her older brothers, Clearwater Police Officer Ben Bieber.
Guess I'm Father Bruce now. New title. I don't know if the Tampa mayor's here. If she is, Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Clearwater, thank you for coming. Chief Deputy Lazinski, distinguished guests, friends, family, and all members of the public who came to honor Abby's life. Grateful for your participation and your presence. We're here, obviously, for Abigail Rose Bieber, who couldn't be here. And my dad, from whom I learned all dad jokes, is not here. Abby would find it entirely appropriate for me to stick one in front of you. And it's a simple one, and it goes like this. Abigail Rose Bieber sat on a tack. Abigail Rose. There you have it. All right. Use it as you wish. You're on your own. My duty, like that of all who eulogize somebody, is to use mere words to capture who they were, the essence of somebody. It's impossible. All the words in all of literature, poetry, theater, art, music cannot do it, cannot do justice to somebody as magnificent as that young woman, wherever that picture went. Oh, geez, I got that up. Okay. I'm going to make a very faint stab at it, and it goes like this. You know, the breadth and wonder of who she was. What are there, 26 letters in the alphabet? I only know one language. There's no way. But I will say she was indescribably beautiful, undeniably delightful. She shined with the radiance of 10,000 suns and always will. She was quick, witty, loyal, dedicated. Abby was athletic, empathetic. She was funny. You've heard how she was a professional. Whether she was a waitress or worked as an admin in a law firm, she did it as well as the job could be done. And as you've heard, if you didn't do it as well as she did, she was going to let you know it. And we were proud of every effort she ever made in any field, any endeavor, because we knew she would put everything in it, leaving nothing on the field. She was also honest and caring and fierce. She fiercely loved. She fiercely loved all of you at HCSO. You, her fifth and final family. I see her as having had 5 different families. The first one we started, my wife Sarah and I, and it was just the 3 of us, and she knew 2 people, and then that quickly doubled when she met these 2. She picked up 2 more, and the Biebers were a real force at that point. And we come from a community outside of Washington, D.C. in Bethesda called Wildwood. And Wildwood is the very village that it took to raise this child, and Wildwood is a force, and that force is here today, I believe. And if you are from Wildwood, I would appreciate it if you at least raise your hand. If you don't even want to stand up, that's fine too. So there's... Now, these Wildwood folks, the Leahys, Bryants, forgive me if I leave any names out, the Jacobses, the McCaslins, Grodowskis, Tapieros, Burks, the Eulers, the Merricks, they raised her. Trust me. I mean, Sarah and I get a lot of credit, particularly the women of Wildwood. They are something else. If you broke a fingernail, you got cookies at your doorstep 10 minutes. And guess who, nearly 30 years later, picked up that habit? You know, Abby was the first one. She worked overtime at the track. I think some of the track folks are here. I don't know how she had a spare minute, but if she found it, she was doing something for somebody else, baking those cookies for somebody else. And I promise you, she learned it at the feet of those people, those women in particular, not taking anything away from the guys, but we know what the truth is. All right, that was family 1 was us. Family 2 was the Wildwood family. Family 3, her high school friends, some of whom are here. Colleen, we call her Weenie Grodowski, is here. I don't know how they divided one whole wonderful human being into two, but they did, and she's the other half, now thirds, I guess, Kate, sorry. They did it in threes. So awesome. You three, I hope you two get to meet and share some time. I know you met. Alicia, if you're here, Lindsay, all helped Abby through her academic and her athletic endeavors with field hockey, with lacrosse, swimming with Wildwood. Oh my God, what a nightmare. And then she graduated in 2009. And there was a fourth family that I know very little of because she kind of wandered in the desert, having odd jobs in Annapolis and some down here in law firms as an admin. She worked even at my sister's shop, the New York Mets. Some of those folks are here today too. What do they call her? A parking technician or something? Really, really high functioning parking attendant. And then she hit Family 5, HCSO. And, you know, that was the gold mine. That was the big nugget. And clearly she'd found her way at that point. And I don't know how you guys pick what district they go, but thank you for sending her to District 3. Because these people, and I see a few over there, Dina, I see you, and Tyler, and I don't know who else is over there, Mariah and Alex. You know, they're family now. And the District 3 folks, the hearts are so big and the souls are so generous. I just don't know how you guys do it. You're awesome, and I'm glad you did it. I'm going to thank a few people. Donnie Reiser, who's done motors, you know, all the way to go get Abby from St. Augustine and shepherding us around. We're grateful to you, Donnie, and the entire Motors family at HCSO. I know you had... I'll probably leave out some of the agencies, and forgive me, but I know you had FHP, you had St. Augustine, St. Johns County, Tampa City, who else? St. Pete City. So if you know them, please thank them. That meant a lot to us. It meant a lot to the boys. I know that. So thank you for all that. I know the sheriff's not here. He is tremendous. I hope you all know, and you do, that what an honor it is to be led by a man like him who does what he says he'll do. And I have no doubt that that runs down to from the top to the bottom with you guys. Chief Deputy Lazinski, thank you for being here and all your offers of support. Brian Morgan is here somewhere. He's been keeping us straight, and with able assistance from Jadine Hayes and Mike Blair before him. Please thank him as well. We couldn't do any of this without you. Captain Hollis, you're awesome. Thank you, wherever you went. And the Clearwater team, you know, Abby, for those of you who don't know law enforcement, you know, Abby was HCSO. She wasn't Clearwater. Clearwater is representing, in a way, well beyond any expectation, any reasonable expectation. These people really are a family. You know, Daniel's newly minted Clearwater PD. Ben's been on. This woman here, you don't see her wings, but I promise you she's an angel. Meg Hasty, and how many others? Melody. Mike Spitaleri, you won't see him, but he's acting in the background. I know that. So thank you. Shane Kaysen is a god. Thank you, Shane. I know he's probably not even in here, if he isn't. And you know, you say last and not least, and that trivializes it. But Ryan Kenna, that man, I don't know how he does what he does, because he's got a load to carry, and here he is showing up, you know, lifting us up at every turn. And I cannot thank you guys enough. My wife, Sarah, you know, she is a spectacular human being as well. And I don't take a step or draw a breath without her. Nobody should have to go through what we're going through. And I wouldn't want to do it without her. I'm so grateful you're here with me, because God knows this is tough. And we don't have Abby, but we have these two. And these guys are something else. And Chief Slaughter, you're lucky to have them. That's all I got to say. I think some of you know that, particularly with him. You're going to learn about this one. I don't know. Maybe it's the guys of Wildwood did that one. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the women. No offense. But, you know, I'm grateful to all of you. These guys are getting us through. They're our strength. They're our anchors. They're our rocks. They're our foundations. And they too are supported, no shock. There's a woman two women right here in the front row who in these darkest times, these lonely times, while this overwhelming, aching absence of Abby has just descended on us and crushed us like bugs, these two women have supported not just these two. This is Ben's wife, Gabby, and Daniel's girlfriend, Jill Campbell, who's newly introduced to the Bieber thing. And God bless her, because I'm telling you, she's punching way outside her weight, too. And they couldn't do it, I'm sure, without them, and none of us could do it without each other. And now we have this crowd, my MGAC crowd. They're here, for God's sake, and I cannot thank them enough. I mean, they're my heart and soul as well. And I think I'm out of families and people to thank. But I will say this, well, two more things. One, you know, we lift Abby up, and she points the way. I don't know if you saw that thing looping, the baton. That cracks us up. It's a GIF. It's not a GIF. Spittlary, thank you. GIF is peanut butter. It's a GIF, okay? So I'm going with GIF. We love that GIF. We think it's her. We debated that whole thing. There it is. That's Abby. Like, oh, she's had it. Just, come on, people. Pay attention. Go. That's what she's saying to us. Go. Go forward. Go on. Do what we would do without me, speaking for her, without me. And do it right. Do it the best you can. That's what we're going to do, right? We're going to lift her up. She's going to tell us which way to go. And we will never, ever forget Abigail Rose. I have one last thing. Only because I have a microphone in front of me, and some of you who know me know that's a very dangerous thing, right, Mark? And, oh, he's hiding his head. That's the state of law enforcement. I'm not going to get all political and whatnot. God knows I'd love to. I'd like to do an hour on that alone. But I can't and I shouldn't, not here, not now. But I want to say that the love and affection and support that the law enforcement community has shown the Bieber family it's like screaming, it's shouting, it's all the noise that could be generated, all the energy, all the true love. It is love at the end of the world. And we've been beset by evil. I think, Chief Deputy, was it you said? I don't know, somebody said evil, or Captain Hollis, somebody said evil. This was evil. Evil came down, smacked us all, wiped us out. But the love that's shown by you guys is dwarfing it, absolutely dwarfing it. But what I think the public doesn't understand is you guys face that every day. And the narrative that we hear is out of whack. It's out of whack. And just as during our 20-plus year war, most people didn't know a soldier, right? It's not World War II anymore. We get it. Most people don't know a cop. And when you know a cop, guess what? They're human. They're people. And they're loving, wonderful human beings doing a terrible thing for us because we want an ordered civil society. We asked for it. And then when we get it, they got all kind of griping and crying to do about it. And we got to get to a more fundamentally actual, factual truth about what's going on in law enforcement. And I'm going to shut up now and thank you for what you do. And if anyone else wants to speak, go right ahead. And thank you guys for coming.
For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Ben Bieber, Abby's older but younger brother, Daniel being the oldest. I'll start by thanking everybody here that we've all thanked 100 times. Chief Slaughter, Deputy Chief Gandy, the rest of our Clearwater Department who's here. You guys are incredible, and you took her in as if she worked for us, and we all know she didn't. Hillsborough County, your entire command staff, Sheriff Chronister, everyone else that we've interacted with, this has been absolutely incredible. And then specific shout outs to her squads, Carpenter, BJ, everybody over here, Corporal, and all of you guys on this side. You guys are as strong as anybody we've ever met. I'm going to keep it brief because I'm not capable of speaking like everybody else here. And this was actually written on her last patrol notepad. So bear with me for this one. Dear Abby, you became a daughter to the mothers of Wildwood, a sister to Colleen, a leader and a captain in every sport you played, a roommate and the best pong partner, which I'm sure some people can attest, a beach mate to my mom, the best one she's ever had, a squad member to days, mids, nights, an inspiration to hundreds and hundreds at the Boys and Girls Club. Kayla, you're probably here somewhere. a rescuer of animals, Pepper being the main one, a voice for the downtrodden, a Hillsborough County deputy, and a sister and a badge. Abby, you were the best of us all. You were the 3 out of 3. You were the sister Dan and I needed, and the only one we ever got, and still have. At this time, I'd like to have all active law enforcement and retired stand up for a second, if you would, please. If you could all take a look at every one of these men and women who do this job. They all do it. They've done it for reasons some of us will never know, and they do it for everyone else that's in this room and those of us who are listening. And today they're all wearing badge number 257269. I think you guys can probably read through the lines and understand whose badge that is. And now at this time, I'd like you guys to direct your attention to the screens that are going to be playing behind us, and you're going to see members of the law enforcement community from Clearwater, Hillsborough County, Queensland, Australia, Cheshire, England, and Montgomery County, Maryland. Every one of these men and women have read Abby's story and have sent these photos in international support of her legacy. And the last thing I'm going to say is, you want to say this one with me? Yeah. Now you wait for us. All right. That's it. Let's go.
Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices just to help us on our way. Come to teach us, then they leave us, and they find some other soul to save. Sing my share of broken halos, folded wings that used to fly. They've all gone wherever they go. Broken halos that used to shine. Broken halos that used to shine. Don't go looking for the reasons. Don't go asking Jesus why. We're not meant to know